combustion engine has been around since the mid-1800s, but it wasn't really widely used until the early 1900s, and the first mass-produced car to feature an internal combustion engine powered by gasoline, in this case, was the Ford Model T. And there are two different types of internal combustion engines, those being gas-powered engine and diesel-powered engines. Gasoline-powered engines are more common than diesel-powered engines because of their low cost to produce and maintain, and they're also relatively simple. So this is a 4-stroke gas engine, and basically the engine starts by taking air in through a valve, and it comes into the cylinder here, and then fuel is also injected, and then the mixture of air and fuel is then compressed, and the piston is up at the top of the engine, and then this right here, which is a spark plug, ignites that fuel, and it causes an explosion, which forces the piston back down, and then the piston comes back up and pushes the exhaust gases out from the exhaust valve. So all of the intake and exhaust valves are driven by the camshaft up here, and it has these little like triangle shaped things that push the valve up and down. And there's also valve springs and rocker arms in the head as well. The head is bolted to the top of the engine block, and at the very bottom of the motor, all of the pistons are attached to the crankshaft, and when the pistons go up and down, they rotate the crankshaft, and then the rotation from the crankshaft is then applied to the transmission, which is a series of different gears. And then the rotation from the transmission goes to a drive shaft, and then the rotation from the drive shaft goes to a differential, which basically turns the rotation perpendicular and allows the wheels to be driven. So a diesel engine is somewhat similar to a gasoline engine, but it ignites the fuel differently. Diesel engines simply ignite the fuel by using compression, which eliminates the need for a spark plug, but they do have a different type of fuel injector. Diesel engines before the 2000s created more pollution than gasoline engines, which might have partially contributed to the relatively low number of sales of diesel cars in the U.S. despite a rise in popularity of diesel trucks. Diesel cars still haven't quite caught on in the United States, which is somewhat surprising because they can achieve lots of power relatively easily, and they have incredible fuel efficiency. For example, the Volkswagen Polo, which is a European car that isn't sold in America, once achieved more than 80 miles to the gallon from a 1.5-liter diesel engine. It was around the same time that Volkswagen had an emissions scandal where their cars could detect when they were being tested for emissions, and then they changed the way the car would run so it would create less emissions. And this ended up ruining Volkswagen's reputation in the United States, and could have turned some people away from diesel cars. Some people say that these two types of engines are outdated and extinct, but they're still a better option than electric cars, because electric cars are far too expensive and too complex for the average person. Tesla is the only car manufacturer to make electric cars somewhat practical, and they do have plans to release a car called the Model 3, which will cost around $35,000, but there's a year-long waiting list to purchase that car. And there's another issue with electric cars, that being pollution. Although the cars themselves don't create pollution, the mining done to produce the batteries creates lots of pollution, and also those batteries have to be shipped to factories, which ends up creating more pollution than most cars would in their lifespan. In conclusion, the internal combustion engine, whether it be a gas or diesel engine, isn't technology of the past. It might be around for another century and a half, and the future is bound to bring many advances in the automotive world, but we'll just have to wait and see what those are.